Oysters make up a family of a large number of saltwater bivalve mollusks. Oysters are marine animals that are often found in brackish habitats. They are very irregular in shape and the valves of some are highly calcified. They belong to the phylum Mollusca. Oysters are animals that eat algae and other food particles that are usually drawn to their gills. They are known to reproduce through broadcast spawning in warm waters and are also capable of changing their gender. Every oyster is capable of making at least one pearl in its lifespan. Can filter water. These marine animals can filter up to 1.3 gallons of water per hour. Ancient beings. Oysters have been used and fed on by humans for thousands of years. Too many eyes. Oysters are animals with eyes all over their body. These eyes help them escape their predators. Shell hiding. These creatures are known to hide in their shell upon sensing danger. The shells then close tightly to protect them. No central nervous system. These animals do not have a central nervous system. Therefore, they cannot feel pain like humans. There are about 200 species of oysters around the globe. The oysters make a large family of a bivalve mollusks. In the United States, there are only 5 species that are typically sold to consumers as food. Those species include Pacific, Atlantic, Kumamoto, Olympia oysters, and European flats. Many species can change their gender at some point. While some may only switch genders once or twice, this process can be repeated multiple times. Many oysters are irregular in shape with oval and/or pear-shaped shells. The shells are usually whitish-gray and the inside of the shell is usually white. These animals are known to have very strong adductor muscles that help them in shutting their shells when they hide inside them upon sensing danger. They are usually 62 to 64 millimeters long and a medium oyster usually weighs about 50 grams. These marine creatures are usually found in the brackish and salty waters across the U.S. coasts. They usually exist in clusters and are often found on shells, rocks, or any other hard surface. The clusters often fuse together and eventually form rock reefs that eventually also become a habitat for many other marine animals. The total number of their populations around the globe is not known. However, the bivalve mollusk exists in large numbers in water bodies around the world and these marine creatures are not yet threatened or endangered. Like almost all other living animals, they are also an integral part of the environmental food chain and are eaten by other creatures. The main predators of oysters include crabs, starfish, humans, and seabirds, due to the amount of protein and other nutrients that they offer. Not all predators go after these creatures for their meat. The boring sponge, for example, will infiltrate the shell to kill the animal and take it over for its own home. The oyster flatworm, aka the oyster leech, will go after young oysters when they eat, sneaking into the shell. After the flatworms have eaten the meat, they use the shell to protect their eggs. Meanwhile, these marine creatures are not known to feed on other animals and are known to usually eat algae and other food particles as water rushes over them. These animals are known to reproduce using broadcast spawning, which means that the female and male release the eggs and sperms into warm waters, which is where they hatch. The gestation period lasts about 7 to 10 days before the live oyster is released. While in captivity, the typical lifespan for these animals is 20 years, but proper care is needed. They are not currently considered to be endangered, but much of the impact on their lifespan in the wild has to do with the fishing of these animals. Oysters can very well be caught and cooked. In fact, they are widely eaten across the world. However, if not cooked properly, they could make you ill. Cooking them well kills unnecessary bacteria and also eliminates the risk of infection. If prepared properly, these animals offer an excellent source of protein and vitamins. Differentiating between the species is crucial since they all have different flavors and ways to prepare them. For example, eastern oysters in the United States are much saltier than Pacific oysters, but the latter has a more savory taste for a complex palate. Oysters are an incredibly flexible dish since they can be steamed, pan-seared, poached, smoked, fried, or prepared in nearly any way. They can even be baked. Most interestingly, their flavor can make them an excellent aphrodisiac for a romantic dinner for two. Some vegans will opt to eat oysters as well. Though it is a living thing, oysters lack a central nervous system. Without these nerve endings, they cannot experience pain and they do not move.